As I ponder all your wonders, I can see that you live. Every day you see betrayal, yet you choose to forgive. Your love is strong, will last so long.
Good evening, parents of the West Shore School District, and welcome to Simply Speaking with Kristi and Mariana. So we have some interesting things to cover today, and there's some interesting things that Kristi's going to cover with us. But before we get into that, my husband, Casey Reed, would like to make a comment in reference to what we will be speaking today, and it's going to be the prologue. Am I correct? Because my prologue, because my Spanish accent gets in the way. But either way, she sells seashells. Here is Casey.
Good evening, Kristi.
Hi, Casey.
Yeah, this is rather impromptu. I wasn't really planning on speaking tonight, but when I heard what you're talking about, I cannot help but to offer some brief commentary on this. The idea of Terri Mickle being anti-LGBTQ would be funny if it weren't so sick. The fact that she's actually using that as a campaign strategy is just the epitome of hypocrisy and dishonesty, quite frankly. If you recall, was it a month or so ago when this issue first started being discussed at school board meetings, I made a little speech, advocating for the common sense that, we should not be letting males invade females' locker rooms and restrooms and sports. And among the people who were so incredibly triggered were Terri Mickle and her husband, who were actually petitioned the school board to try to find a way to limit or cancel me from speaking at school board meetings because it was so inappropriate because I supposedly used a slur by referencing the word hermaphrodite, which of course is in the medical dictionaries, but somehow that's a slur. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole reason why they wanted to go that route. I covered that in another podcast with Jonathan, but there's all ulterior motives for that as well. But the idea that she is against that stuff is absurd. Now, my challenge, and I hope this little message gets out there to Terri Mickle and her supporters, is this: if she's serious about her quote opposition to the LGBTQ, then let's have her sign a public document with her signature, promising and swearing that if elected to the school board, she will always vote against their agendas.
Right.
And then have it on record. So if she does win, God forbid, it's on record with her signature that she will swear to never vote in favor, and in fact, always vote against any agenda to encourage the genital mutilation of minors or to have boys invading girls' sports locker rooms or restrooms. And to let her put her signature where her mouth is. Let's see that. I would love to see that. And this also smacks of something else that happened last year, if you recall, when Danielle Gross was going into elderly homes, these, what do you call them, the retirement homes, and getting many elderly citizens to cancel their accounts with Dr. Brent's Premier Eye Care and Dr. Cox's medical facility. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. but she was getting these elderly citizens to cancel their accounts with them, and Lord only knows what she was telling them to get them to do that, because Danielle Gross couldn't have possibly been honest with them. I mean, I really doubt that she was going to these elderly citizens saying, that Kelly Brent and Brenda Cox don't support cutting off little boys' penises. How dare they? Or they don't. I'm sorry, Kristi, I can't hear you. Hello?
Can you hear me, Casey?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely not what they're saying. They're praying.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just so you know, your voice is broken up when you're talking. I hope it's not coming across on a stream that way. But what I'm hearing your words chopped up. Just to give you a heads up on that. Can't hear you. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, but go ahead and finish what you were saying, Kristi. I'm sorry.
I was just saying it is complete evil that they would use the elderly people like that. And they're not going into these homes and telling people like that because Most of the older people that I know are not into this LGBTQ and indoctrinating the children. So
Absolutely.
I think they are feeding these people a bunch of lies.
And absolutely, there, because the overwhelming majority of the elderly population is definitely socially conservative, and even though the West Shore is pretty much split down the middle, as far as issues of this extreme ultra transvestite and sodomy pushing and pedophilia pushing agendas, most people do not support that. They know they're on the wrong side of this morally, ethically, intellectually, and they know they don't have the support of the majority of this district, so they have to resort to dishonesty to even stand a chance at winning on these issues.
That's right. That's
And
right.
lies will be exposed. But like I said, I have a lot to do tonight. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there quickly because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So that's my 2 cents for the evening. I'm going to give you back to my wife.
All right, thanks, Casey.
All right, thank you,
Hey,
Kristi.
Casey,
Yes.
one thing,
Mhm.
you know, if you're coming to the school board meeting this Thursday, maybe you could even talk about that little paper with Terry, having her sign that.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. There's so many things I'd love to talk about. If I talked about everything I wanted to talk about at that meeting, it would be 6 hours just of me talking. But I got to find a way to condense it all into 4 minutes, and that's always the challenge. That's why I have to write them down. You know, I would
Maybe you
prefer
can
to just
talk in
The beginning and talk in the end.
possibly. But yeah, that's why I always write my speeches down for a few reasons. Number one, because I have so much I want to say, I got to find a way to summarize an ocean into a drop. And number two, I also do it for reference purposes because at some point, I know my words for nefarious reasons are going to be taken out of context or twisted, or they're going to outright lie about what I said. I mean, even in the last meeting where they flipped out, the last time I spoke on this issue, if you remember, the one Satan girl stood up and started screaming, "How dare you deny my humanity? How dare you say I don't exist?" My speech said nothing even remotely close to that. You know, so she was responding to something that wasn't even close to being referenced. So that's why I like to write these things out so I can, at some point when I need to, like I did after that meeting, put it on the podcast. Here's a speech right here. Here's exactly what I said. And you can go back to the video and review it. That she's full of it. You know, that's another reason I do that. So
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, Casey, you have to back yourself up in these times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, sister. So I'm going to put my wife back on. It was good talking to you.
You too. Take care.
Have a good night.
Casey.
I'll see you Thursday.
Yep.
So I am back. I am back. So, Kristi, what happened today? You were sharing something as you were knocking on the doors today. Please share.
Yes.
Okay, so basically, in my neighborhood, I was walking around. I always pass out stuff to my neighbors and stuff. And I was going down to one of my neighbors that actually helps out at the polls. He's very conservative. And I was taking papers down that we had made. I had to give him copies. And he's like, "Hey, kid," he's like, "one of your people stopped by today." And I'm like, that's weird because, you know, I'm usually the one, or Mariana, that goes out and around. So I'm like, "Really? Who?" And he's like, "I can't remember the name and I don't have the brochure." And I was showing him pictures of Kelly. I'm like, "Is this who it was?" He's like, "No." And I said, "Can you go get the brochure out of the trash?" So he goes and gets the brochure out of the trash, and it's Terri Mickle. And he starts telling me what a nice conservative person she is. Now, it wasn't Terry. It was one of her drones that is walking around for her. And he stated that she's a really conservative person. And I said, "Yeah, how so?" And he said, "Well, she's totally against this LGBTQ stuff. And she's totally against the boys and girls sports and the boys and girls bathrooms." And, you know, I explained to him that that's totally incorrect and that she cross-filed in order to get the conservative vote, but she is as far from a conservative as anybody could be. And Mariana even has on her website, Mariana, can you bring that up where it says about being inclusive?
Yes, most definitely. Cause yeah, this is not the Terry Mickle we know. This is not the Terry Mickle that speaks in the school board. Okay, so let's see. Here's the first slide down. This is from her own website. Okay, so we're gonna read what she stands for. Let me get my glasses on here. All righty. So she stands for keeping politics out of education, which is false because she brings politics into education. Her and her woke mob. She is for fully funding public schools. So fully funding public school is a good thing, but what she's doing is that she's criticizing the parents that have their children in cyber school, okay, and it's a coordinated attack, okay, towards the cyber school families um by Trone, by Tyranny, by Cambic, and by Terry, who's trying to get in. Okay. Although they are saying we're losing money in cyber school, and they're correct, we are losing money in cyber school. They're absolutely correct. But what they fail to do is find a resolution or a remedy to stop that bleeding. And
Right.
Kristi, why would you say that we're losing kids to cyber school?
Because
They don't teach anymore. They're doing this indoctrination. They're doing facts over feelings. They're teaching kids about genders, all different genders instead of basic education. That's why people are leaving. People are leaving because of people like that Terry, that are the head of our school. I mean, honestly, look at it, Mariana. These people are supposed to be the head of our school, and they're running a campaign full of lies. Like, if you have to lie and say that you're totally against the LGBTQ to our elderly people, like, this is sad. Not only is it sad, it actually makes me very upset that they would do that, because, like Casey and I were talking about, most of the elderly people, it doesn't matter what side you're on, left or right, they don't like this crap and they're tired of it. So this whole campaign is a big lie, saying that they're going against LGBTQ. They stand against them being in the bathroom and them being in sports and stuff. And listen, whatever side you want to be on, that's your choice, okay? But you're not going to sit here and lie to the community members on where you really stand just to get in.
That is correct, especially when you go to the board meeting. She doesn't sit with the conservatives. She sits with the LGBTQ.
we know exactly
Okay.
where she
Stands.
Oh, exactly. Now, number three, encouraging parent and community involvement. Well, the only community and parent involvement they want is the woke. Okay, the woke
Right.
side, because they have a group in the district called District Voices, I think it's called, and they're supposed to be the voice of the parents, but no conservative parents
I want to
are
get in there.
allowed.
I want
Right.
in there.
Okay, well, yeah, by the most part, most conservative parents are not allowing that group. They don't want to hear what the conservative we don't want to say.
Yep.
It's all woke people helping the superintendent, so it is all one-sided how they can further the LGBTQ agenda, because that's what that's about. Number
Right.
four, responsibly budgeting with financial transparency. Well, that's a lie too, because Terri Mickles, I mean, there's a slogan for her out here, which is Terri Mickles max. What is it? Tax to the max. It's tax to the max Mickles. That's what a lot of people call her, because she supported. If you remember when we were talking about the budget, when in the budget meeting, she supports tax to the max and break the taxpayers back because there's no solution. So we're in a debt. There's no solution to get out of that debt outside of taxing the citizens of New Cumberland, actually of Cumberland County, to the max.
Please
Number
raise
five,
our taxes.
now, here, guys, you need to understand words matter, and you need to understand the definition of words, okay? So, number
Mhm.
five will show you that she is for the LGBTQ. So, if she
Buzzword.
or the people who are helping her in her campaign are saying differently, it is a falsehood. So, number five, promoting a well rounded, inclusive curriculum. So when she says inclusive, that word inclusive means LGBTQ. Okay.
That's a buzzword.
DEI. Exactly. That is a buzzword. Anytime you hear the word inclusive, your bionic ears and your antennas should go up, because that is a red flag. Okay, she is for the LGBTQ. I've seen her in these meetings. She sits with them. She advocates for them. So if what is being stated by her people who are helping her with her campaign, okay, her team. And if this is what she's saying, then she's being deceitful to the community. Number six, supporting and valuing educators. Okay, all right. Um,
Sorry.
num- yeah. Number seven, prioritizing special education and student support. Ensure we offer equitable. And remember, guys, we spoke about that word equitable.
There we go.
Okay.
Woke.
We don't want equitable. We want equality. Okay. Equitable means that I can do all the work. Okay. And let's say Christy's not working or whatever, staying at her home. And I have what I earn, I have to give over to Christy, whether she earned it or not.
Right, give it
Okay.
over.
Exactly. So equitable equity is actually socialist. It's a socialist way of thinking. Okay, it really is. What we want, and we've always had in America, has been equality. Everybody has the same opportunity to, follow their dreams and follow their goals as long as they work hard enough and study
Right.
hard enough to get it. With equity, doesn't matter if you work hard enough or not. They feel that you are entitled to get it. So you
Yes.
don't want equity. Guys, you don't want equity. You want equality. Ensure we offer equitable resources and inclusive policies to meet the needs of all students. Again, inclusive policies is LGBTQ policies.
Wow,
Okay.
that doesn't
Seem like she's against the LGBTQ.
I know, right?
Oh wow! And it also doesn't seem like that she would be against the boys and girls sports.
Well, if she's for inclusive policies, okay, she's against. Okay, she's against us implementing keeping the boys out of girls' sports. She
Yeah,
wants the boys in the girls' sports and in the girls' locker room.
does
That
seem
is
like
what
that.
she has been fighting for in these meetings. And why would Christy and I know? Because we're in these meetings. We know exactly who Terri Mickle is. Okay, so she is for having your boys participate in women's sports
Wow.
and sharing the locker room. Okay, so if he wants to, take his clothes off because he feels that he's a she and his dingling is, hanging, then the girls are exposed to seeing that. Okay. You know the song, My Dingling, my. Okay. So you take it from there. Okay. Number.
We're really in a worse pickle, like you say.
Yeah, we vote for Mickle. We are in a pickle. You vote for Mickle, guys, because you're allowing her to deceive you. Your daughters will be in a pickle and will be seeing a pickle. Okay.
We'll be hearing that ding-a-ling.
Song.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Okay, number nine, implementing full day kindergarten. Now, implementing full day kindergarten, I love the idea we can do it. The problem is we are in debt, and she knows this. They've done a presentation about this already, that this is something that has been tabled for the future because we cannot afford it. Now, if Terri Mickle and her husband want to open their, wallets and write out a check to the school district to get it started and fund the, the transportation and fund the lunches and fund the teachers and fund the benefits and the furnitures and everything that we need for the children, voila, great, I'm for it. But she knows very well, and so does Adam Trone, that this has been discussed in a previous meeting this year, and at the moment it's not financially, we're not in the financial position to get this done. We're not, it's not, they're
Right.
not saying that it's not going to get done, but we can't afford it. So she keeps between cyber school and this full day kindergarten. Okay, full day kindergarten is a promise that she cannot keep at the moment because
I
we
don't
don't
think
have
it's
the
gonna
money. We're
happen.
broke.
And yeah, it's not going to happen. I mean, they don't have the money right now.
We're broke as a joke, and it's the truth. But yeah, I think that she'll probably try to keep her promise about inclusive policies.
Yeah, Mariana, one
Way that they could probably go around paying for kindergarten is maybe they could get all those people in the lawsuit to pay for it.
Maybe, I mean, because they're already costing us money as it is. That lawfare,
Yeah.
I don't even call it a lawsuit; it's a lawfare. And she and her husband have been encouraging that lawfare. Okay,
Well,
and I have the paperwork to show it. Okay, that she and her husband have been encouraging that lawfare that is already costing us, the taxpayer at the West Shore School District, 125,000 plus.
well, we could pay for kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Well, with that, we haven't been able to pay for that, maybe a little bit more, at least start the foundations for it. Okay, but because they want to, and this thing about the Sunshine Violation Act, guys, that's bogus. This is all about that they're not getting their way. okay, because of
Right.
their political agendas. That although she says she's against political agenda, no, she's not against political agenda. She's bringing political agendas in. What she is against is the conservative parents airing their concerns, okay, and asking for responsible policies to protect our children, like keeping the boys out of women's sports, because she
Wow.
was, and you were there in that meeting with me, Kristi. Was she not advocating to keep boys in women's sports? She
Yes.
was against the policy that would keep them out.
Yes. And
Okay.
She also loves DEI.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. And this is all these inclusive little policies here that she's speaking about. So when you read these things, guys, they use language that if you're not,
whoa, this is a
familiar with it, it's
Nightmare.
confusing. It's semantics. Pull out a dictionary and see what
mm,
equitable is. See what she's saying when she says inclusive. So if somebody knocked on somebody's door saying that she's against the LGBTQ, then that is a falsehood. And number 10, maintaining rigorous academic standards. Okay, we would love that to be true, but maintains West Shore commitment to excellence while using multiple measures to assess students and teacher success beyond standardized tests. So they're talking about surveys. They're talking about all these illegal surveys, unlawful surveys. And we, the parents, also the conservative parents, are asking that these surveys become opt in versus opt out, because automatically your kids are opt into these surveys, whether you like it or not. And Terri was another person speaking against the opt in policy. Am I correct?
yeah.
We have been in these meetings. We go to these meetings. We know who's who. So for her or somebody in her campaign to state that she's anti-LGBTQ, okay, so put it in writing. Put it in
Yeah.
writing that that you're against LGBTQ. But the only reason they're saying that is because they know that we are putting the truth about Terri Mickle, and we have been putting the truth about Terri Mickle out at the Boiling Point podcast. Like I stated, you vote for Mickle, you're gonna get in a pickle. Okay, she actually supports the LGBTQ agendas, and we can say that because we've been in these meetings. She supports men and women's sports. She supports transgender bathrooms. She's against parents' choice. She's against parents' right. She supports critical race theory. She supports pornographic novels in our school library. She supports DEI. She supports social emotional learning, and you guys know we were sued about that, right? Because they weren't
Right.
respecting people's religious rights
And
about
we
that.
still
We'll have it in the school.
And we still have it in the school. She
we
supports
actually
mental health
What?
evaluations of your child, and we just read that. We just read that. Okay. Well, she was talking about surveys. Okay. So she supports the mental evaluations of your child without parental consent. She supports frivolous spending. She supports higher taxes. So she's, tax to the Max Mickles. She supports all woke agendas. She's running bipartisan. She's not a conservative, guys. She's running bipartisan, and she's not even bipartisan. Okay,
I wonder why
she's a
that is.
Democratic hack. Okay, a liberal hack. And I will say it. I will say what most people in this polite community do not dare say. I will say it. She is a liberal hack. Okay, so she is running bipartisan to hide the fact that she is not a conservative nor a Republican. Do not be deceived, okay? And do we really need another woke advocate in the West Shore? And if you look at the people who are supporting her, okay, what is this group? Students First, I think it is, or West Shore School District Students First. If you look at that page, okay, everything that they support is liberal agendas, is woke agendas, is socialism, and these are the people backing her up. We have Adam Trump backing her up, and if you remember the six pack supporting Adam Trump, do you remember that? Who is the six pack? It is a progressive, which is another word for socialist, which is another word for communism. Okay, so it is a communistic pack. Okay, that supported him too. So these are the people supporting Terri Mickle, and she's on the wrong side of everything. And then compare the people that are supporting her. And one day we're going to do a program soon, and we're going to break down the people who are supporting her, the organization supporting her, and what they really stand for, and compare it to the other two true conservative candidates that we have. Okay, and you will see who's on the right side, and it is not Terri Mickle. Okay, so you really almost made me fall off my chair. Anything else you want to share with us in reference to this, Kristi?
Well,
Basically, that these people kind of did go to the wrong house because my neighbor, he does want to come to the meeting and set this straight, because he knows a lot of the people in Republican Party. He works all the polls and stuff like that. And he's one of those people that he would have found out. But I think the thing that really upsets him is that how evil people would be to come up and lie. And there's a lot of people that, would be deceived, not him, but he actually wants the chance to talk to Terri Mickle at the school board meeting and just explain to her what her people were saying and if she actually is against the LGBTQ. He doesn't believe, he believes what we're saying to him, but he is upset that they're lying like that and he wants to ask her to her face.
And he should do it, and he should be upset because what this shows me is desperation. They are so desperate to topple Mrs. Kelly Brandt off her seat. Okay, because Mrs. Kelly Brandt does not align with their political view. Mrs. Kelly Brandt, is looking to protect the conservative voice, protect our children, protect our girls in sports. Okay, so she's looking to bring back common sense to a district that lost all common sense. I hear a lot, the West Shore School District is a joke. The West Shore School District is
These
a
people are
carnival.
a joke.
Yeah, and these people are a joke. If we are a joke, it's because of people like Terri Mickle, okay,
Right.
and her cronies. That's why we're a joke, because these people have no common sense. So I tell people, well, the way I would put it is that the West Shore School District for a while now, under the previous leadership that we had, especially under Brian Geiswhite, they lost all common sense. They lost all common sense. They will sell your child out for a dime. Heck, they will sell your child out for 2 pennies. And that's the truth of the matter. But
Wow.
no,
It's just
this needs to be called out, because if she's stating that, or anybody in her campaign is stating that, then that is a lie. It's a lie. And again, about the lawfare, she and her husband supports this lawfare. They have their hands meddling. And Kristi, do I not have the evidence?
We have the evidence.
We have the evidence, because you see,
people
here,
want to know how the church podcaster got it.
oh yeah. Well, the church podcaster got it. You see, we at the boiling point, and they believe that they forget that this is a journalistic podcast. Okay,
Right.
this is not a church podcast. Do we believe in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? Most definitely. Okay, and we will declare Him anywhere we go. We don't care, whether they like it or not, because without Jesus, you're lost, obviously. But anyway, you know, we get the evidence, we investigate the evidence, we research, we analyze and inspect the evidence before anything is pulled out. So it is what it is. So we do have to prove to show that she and her husband, and primarily her husband, have been stirring the pot for this lawfare.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
we have it.
not too hard to find it.
It is not. It is not. We have it. Okay. So anybody who's hearing me, in Region 2, no, Terri Mickle's not a conservative. No, Terri Mickle is not against the LGBTQ. She's for them. No, Terri Mickle does not support the policy to keep men out of women's sports. She's for it. Okay. She's for men in women's sports. No, she's not against transgenders bathrooms. She wants them. No, she's not for parental choice. She's against it. She's not for parental rights. She's against it. She supports CRT. She supports porn in school, and those pornographic novels in school. She supports DEI. Everything that you think is a nightmare as a conservative, she supports. She's a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
She's a nightmare. And guys, this is not who you want in Region 2. This is not who you want in Region 2. Who do you want in Region 2? Mrs. Kelly Brandt. Okay, and they for a whole year have been attacking Mrs. Brent, trying to unseat Mrs. Brent, slandering Mrs. Brent in the media, slandering Mrs. Brent wherever they stand. And I hate saying it. I hope burst in your bubble, guys, but Terri Mickle has been part of this.
Of course.
Terri Mickles have been part of this. Anything else you would like to share with us, Kristi?
No,
I think that's it. I appreciate you having me on and getting this
Well, it's our
information
show.
out. Yes. Well, I appreciate you letting me on my show. You know, the moms of liberty president. I mean,
I know.
how could
And the
we?
and the church podcaster.
They're really giving us some bigger names than we are. Like, come
Oh,
on now.
exactly. But you know what? It's not an insult. It's not an insult. It's actually a compliment. Okay?
I'm not
Because
even
if
a
they're
Moms
against
of
us so
Liberty
much,
member.
there you go. You know, and if they're so, if they're so against us, it means we're doing something right. We're putting the truth
Right.
out and they don't like it. But I do want to remind everybody that on May 8th, we have the board meeting that the left, and including
Yeah.
Terri Mickle, is trembling about. Okay. And that is the board meeting in which the board is going to vote on the policy to keep men out of women sports. Okay. Now,
Well,
it came to our
Terry should
ears
Like
today.
this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is
She
going to
should be
show us.
excited.
Yeah, this is going to really show us where Terry stands. Okay.
She
All right.
she should be happy about this.
She should, right? But it came to our ears today, okay, that the left woke mob is planning a special visit to the West Shore School District. Not only are the mob from the Cumberland County side coming out, they're calling them mobs from other counties to show like they're more in numbers when they're not. To act out, okay, and speak against this policy. And watch Mickles being sitting with the mob. Watch, and if she doesn't because she heard the podcast, she'll sit behind in the back somewhere neutral because she doesn't want us to be right. But anyway, but we've seen it, and we probably got video image of it. But anyway, they're looking to come out to try to stop and put a halt on this policy. And we have a call to action to every conservative parent who is for keeping boys out of women's sports to come to the board meeting May 8th. That's this Thursday. Try to be there, although the meeting starts at 6:30, try to be there at 6:15. If you want to speak, there is a blue card at the when you enter the building. I think it's to the left. You'll find a table with the blue card that you have to fill out. If you want to speak, you want to put the business item there. And if you want to speak in favor of the policy, okay. And before they do the vote, they will give you the opportunity to express your opinion. Now, if you can't come to the meeting, that's fine too, because we understand that we conservative, have busy lives because we actually work. So if you can't come to the meeting, you can also send an email, but it has to be received by noon. Okay. It has to be received by noon on the day of the meeting to the board secretary at wssd.k12.pa.us and include your full name, address, and if you have a student at the West Shore. Okay. Send in your public comment, supporting the policy. So, either way, your voice should be heard and must be heard. This is a call to action. We're asking everybody to, to step up, everybody to let their voice, be heard. If you can come in and make your presence known, even better. Okay, even better. But this policy must pass. We must protect our girls. And, we reviewed the policy on one of the shows, and it's actually really good policy. It's not discriminatory against anybody. And they rewrote that policy like 3 or 4 times. We've been waiting for this policy since January. It's a really good
Right.
policy, and they're still not happy because they want what they want when they want it.
They're
Okay,
not happy
and they're
unless it's
also
Oh, there's some
yeah,
crybabies.
and they're also threatening with lawfare if this policy goes through.
Of
Okay.
course.
Okay, because that's what it is lawfare. When they don't get their way, when the mommy says no, you can't have the cookie, they'll have the little tantrum. But nowadays, it's not only the tantrum because they can't have the cookie. Now it's lawfare.
that's gentle parenting.
Yeah, why? I'm from Generation X. We believe in tough love.
Well,
That's what you need to do, all these crybabies. I mean, come on
Exactly.
now.
But if you want to bring a box of pacifiers also and depends and teddy bears for these people to have their safe places on May 8th, feel free to do so. Yes, I know, Mariana, you mean, okay, that's fine. Okay, because at this point, I'm not here to, I'm not here to sing you a lullaby at this point. Okay. We have to bring sense, okay, common sense back into the West Shore School District with common
please.
sense policies.
There's
And
There
this is
is
a common sense
cats and
policy.
animals. The children think they're animals.
Yeah, and this is the time that we're living. This is really the time that we're living, and it's really sad, guys. It's really sad that we're living these days. But yes, this is a call to action. Please, please, please come out to the meeting. Let your voice be heard. And if you can't, because you I have a work schedule that you must keep, then please remember to send in your email before 12 p.m. And hopefully Ryan Argot will act like Ryan Argot and not Ryan Forgot. Okay, so that being stated, this is Mariana. Okay, I'm sorry. Casey is requesting to speak again. So I'm gonna put in before we sign out. Hold on.
Hello again. Yeah, I just wanted to remind something else just came to my mind real briefly before they close up the program here. This is reminiscent, speaking of the dishonesty being portrayed by Terry Mickle's campaign, of how Brian Geistwhite initially got into office. I'm not sure the year. I believe it was 2009. I could be wrong on that, but I know, from other people who worked on his campaign. In 2009, Brian Geistwhite, basically, he pulled off an upset against the Republican nominee for school board in that region, in Region 3. He was a write-in candidate in a primary election, and he won as the quote conservative, as the quote real Republican. And he had many of the Republican establishment out there working on his behalf in this write-in campaign, and that's how he was able to be on the school board in the first place. And of course, the rest is history. We know that since his entire voting record has been supporting all things CRT, all things LGBTQ, all things critical race. I mean, he's been down the line horrible on every issue, on every cultural, political, or spiritual or educational matter of consequence. He has been on the wrong side of everything, and still is now. But don't be surprised if he's also now running a campaign where he's portraying himself as something polar opposite. And unfortunately, since school board races are something that people don't usually pay a whole lot of attention to, it's easier for them to get away with this these kind of shenanigans. And that's why we got to be on our toes to inform as many people as we possibly can of the reality of what's going on. So.
Yeah. Well,
Geistwhite, the thing with Geistwhite is that Geistwhite is not going after the conservative vote because he doesn't have the conservative vote.
Mm-hmm.
Sandra has the conservative vote.
Right.
So what Geistwhite is doing now is he knows there's no chance of him winning. So the only thing he's doing is trying to join forces with like Terri Mickle and all the lefties that are running to try to get the left vote, because Sandra, there's no way. Like he's not going to come even close to Sandra.
Well, we know she's going to be facing him in November because, of course, he's going to win the Democrat primary because he cross-filed, and she didn't even bother to do that. She didn't even cross-file. So, of course, he has the Democrat nomination by proxy, as if she would have stood a chance of winning that anyway. But
right.
so and God forbid Mickles pulls off an upset in Region 2 in the Republican primary, Kelly should win that. So we should see all these same candidates run in both races running against each other in November, and that's where it's going to get real. And in Region 2 especially, that's going to be a matter of turnout.
That's the one that
I'm more concerned about, honestly. Like, I mean, we're gonna Sandra and Chris, like obviously Geistwhite and stuff, but I'm telling you, that one over in 3 is a shoo-in, just like Brenda, Heidi. Sandra's going in, but
I believe her odds are good, but I don't want to get too overconfident yet. I mean, you know where all the power and the money is, and it's not on our side.
Yeah.
They have so much. I mean, just look at what happened on a more macro level in the Scott Perry congressional race in last year. There's no way Janelle Stelson, if you look at the political demography of his congressional district, should have came that close. And it's scary that she did. But it was because she was getting literally tens of millions of dollars poured into her campaign from multi-billionaires in Silicon Valley all the way across in the other side of the country, and these school board races are no different. I mean, $100,000 being poured into one race. Are you kidding me? I mean, on average, school board races are like $12,000 campaigns. So, that's like having a presidential campaign of an $800 billion tag. It's nuts. So when you have they're throwing everything and the kitchen sink into these races. Like I said, I do think Sandra's odds are good, but I don't want to get too comfortable there, because there's going to be a lot of deception at work, and there's going to be a lot of money and power involved in that race, because they're going to do everything they can to keep her out. And of course, like you said, Kelly is going to be the one of more concern, because it's a more evenly divided region, and they are coming after her hard. So, and as we see, they're not campaigning honestly either. So.
Yeah, but you know how
That always is, Casey, that the light always outshines the darkness. So we'll be good.
I hope. All right, I'll give Mariana back here quick to close the program. I just wanted to drop my 2 cents in there. Thank you. Good night.
So I am back. All right. So again, May 8th, we're asking all the soldiers to come out. Any of our mamas and our mama bears out there in Region 2, if you are able also to hear and confirm that anybody in Terri Mickle's campaign or Terri Mickle herself is saying that she's anti-LGBTQ and anti-transgender bathroom, give us a call here at the Boiling Point, because we will continue to expose. On the May 8th meeting, wear your patriotic gear. Wear your patriotic gear on May 8th in support of this policy, and spread the words among the conservatives that we need their presence there. Okay. In reference to Sandra Gonzalez, she's Region 3. She's running against Brian Geiswhite. Her signs are being stolen. Kristi, her signs are being stolen. Okay. What does that remind you of, Kristi? Okay. But you know what? We're going to keep putting that out there. Now, do I believe that Brian Geiswhite made the call to get the sign stolen? No, because I think he has a little bit more class than that. But I do believe that if it's somebody in his campaign, he needs to sit down the people, okay, because eventually it's going to come down at him, okay? It's going to be a reflection of him if he allows his people to do that, okay? Because, I mean, he may not, have called it out. Does he have knowledge? I don't know, but he does now. Okay, we're watching. We're watching, and we're going to call all this foolishness out. For Region 2, if you want to bring common sense back into the West Shore School District, and you want to protect your kids, and you want your kids to learn that they are a human being and not a dog or a cat, okay, then you want Kelly Brandt. We need to keep Kelly Brandt in that seat, Region 2, okay? Don't drop the ball, Region 2. Do not be deceived. And if you have questions as to who is the real candidate that you should vote for and who stands for what, reach out to Kristi, reach out to me, reach out to the Boiling Point, reach out to any one of us, and we'll be happy to not only tell you, who it is, but show you the proof. Okay? Because that's what it comes down to. This is a battle of fact versus fiction. This is a battle of good versus evil. This is a battle of God versus Satan. Okay, and the truth shall set us free.
It will.
All right. So this is Mariana from the Boiling Point and Kristi for Simply Speaking with Kristi and Mariana. God bless you. And guys, remember, pray. May 20th is around the corner. Make the correct decision. And if in doubt, give us a call. God bless.
Bye, guys.
As I ponder all your wonders, I can see that you live. Every day you see betrayal, yet you choose to forgive. Your love is strong, but not so long.